You're listening to Flipping Fantastic, the #1 all-female reselling podcast.
Hello, and welcome to Flippin' Fantastic, episode 84. I'm 87 official.
And I'm Amy, Beachfire P. And below, is it below? Maybe below.
He's in the middle of
Kevin.
us.
Oh, he's in the middle. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
So we have Commonwealth Picker, Commonwealth Flipper, Garage Sale Nation,
Wow.
Trash to Cash.
Yeah, you got
Right?
it. Podcast.
And Hustle. Do you still have the Hustle?
No, we
kid?
don't have that.
No.
No. Actually, I might turn that into something else, but that's for another day.
Oh, so thanks for coming on, Kevin. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes.
Totally appreciate it.
Hey,
We're
no problem.
Absolutely.
I know.
I'm making the tour around all the reselling podcasts, and I'm like, there's one preeminent female branded podcast. I was like, I've got to go on there. I got to go there.
Yes.
There's no more. What is it? Let's Do Lunch is defunct. I love all those girls that were over there
That's
doing
why
that.
we're the #1 female reselling podcast.
I know,
Yes.
but it needs to be 1,000 subscribers #1 reseller podcast, which, by the way, if you're watching this and you aren't subscribed, go hit that button right now and watch this. There needs to be this in the space to counteract all of the ridiculous, stupid testosterone and dumb poop talk over on Trash Cash podcast. Some civility, some normalcy here.
Totally.
Flippin' fantastic.
I thought you were going to say all the beards. Yeah, the beard-free podcast.
This is the only completely beardless podcast. And the only two male guests we've ever had are beardless. We've had ABC Matt, and now
ABC Matt. Yeah. There you go.
And you. That's it.
And if he can get to 1,000 subs over there, you guys should be able to get there too.
We're climbing. We're slowly climbing.
We're working on it.
I know. We appreciate it. Totally appreciate it. I know.
So
that's crazy. Go.
My weekend, I will say, I'll just go first. It stunk. My eBay, I wasn't even getting any views. I only sold a couple things, but I'm sure you guys sold a lot more. I know Amy sold a lot more. So that was my weekend.
No, my eBay was not bad, but it was like a third of what it normally was. I don't know why. Like, I went 24 hours without selling something, and I had no views too. And that's like, that doesn't happen at all. Like, at all. When I packed up my orders Monday morning, I was done in like an hour. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it was dismal. It was.
Yeah.
I know.
I had, and I talk about this on the podcast, Trash to Cash podcast, because we record on Sunday night. So I'm always at the exact right, same time every Sunday. So I can gauge, what happened on Friday, Saturday, and then half of Sunday or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I always look at that number, and for weeks for me, it was pretty poor for me for what we do. And the last 2 weeks have really just bumped up both times, and it gives me great hope for Q4. I think we had the most I've had in quite a while at that point. I had 44 sales. So I was pretty happy from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or through most of Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I was doing a lot of listing over the last 2 weeks. So it makes a big difference. But some old stuff, some new stuff is sold. So I'm excited about Q4.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that it keeps ramping up. But the 24 hours without a sale, boy, it's happened twice this year to me. And once was totally my fault. It's because I clicked off when I went on vacation mode, and I clicked off on accident. I never clicked on the allow sales. I was like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm an idiot. But
that's
I had like 2.5 days without sales. I'm at this, and I've been doing nothing but list. So that's the two things I've been focused on: this podcast and listing, getting my listings up. But this weekend,
let's get them sales up. Come on, y'all.
It was terrible.
You gotta link your store down there. You gotta make people feel bad for you. You gotta get down there and get that sale.
Hey, don't feel bad for us.
But
the deal of the
terrible,
day. Put the mode deal of the day over there, and then pop it up on the show, and you get a sale, and then that algorithm grows, and you just start selling stuff like crazy.
Yeah, So instead of feeling sorry for myself,
Yeah, no.
I
Well,
have some
let's.
tents that I haven't listed, because tents are like a pain. You got to set them up, you got to,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So I had a lot of coffee on Sunday afternoon, and I came home and listed a tent that I bought in May for $5 at a yard sale in my neighborhood. I took the pictures, listed it, and within an hour, I had 3 watchers. So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I was getting ready to go to bed. I looked at it. There was 11 watchers when I went to bed. When I woke up on what was that, Monday morning, it was sold. Kevin, you are not gonna believe how no, you're not gonna believe how much this sold for.
This is
What
amazing.
kind of tent was it?
It was a Marmot. It's called a Marmot Taku, but it's a discontinued tent from the 1990s,
Okay.
and it's a 4-season tent.
Okay. And
And
it's not a huge one then.
it's a
It's not a huge
No,
one.
4-season,
Yes.
it's a
two-person.
which is really one
2-person.
person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
What do you
getting
think?
close up there in the mountains.
What do you think
Yeah.
it sold for?
I'm gonna say I don't want to go over because I'd make you feel bad, but that is a great brand name and discontinued. We're talking 250 plus.
Plus, it's right.
Plus is right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Kevin,
All right.
listen, less than 12 hours it sold, okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
$949
Wow.
I
plus
have put
shipping,
it up on the screen.
and it's going to an international
Hmm.
buyer through the program. So it's not coming back.
Very
It's going
cool.
to Japan. So
Very cool. I love it.
I
They love
know.
their brand names in Japan, y'all. Get some brand names, boy. That stuff sells.
Uh-huh.
That,
And
I'm
I,
impressed.
Yeah,
I,
that's my best sale to
she,
date too.
she needs to, she needs to, by the way, I have this up on the screen, and sorry that you're watching the popcorn jack-o'-lantern wall hanging. Keep pop up because I have the eBay bug. So where that thing that I sold over a week ago keeps popping up. But she need Amy, you need to message the buyer and tell them that you want pictures and you need to include your sticker in there of it
Of them like,
when it's on when it's at base camp on Everest.
yeah,
We want to see
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Totally. Yeah, it was amazing.
That's a good sale. I still have
Yeah.
speaking of tents and stuff, because I used to pick up tents that were maybe 50, 40, $50 tents if I could get them for $5
Mhm.
Yeah.
because I would pay my oldest son. Of course, he's graduated and, engaged and all that. But back when he was, 14, 15 or whatever, and needed extra money, I'd be like, hey,
Mhm.
go set this tent up. I'll give you $10, right? And it was
Yeah.
a way for me to give him some money when he was a kid.
Mhm.
And that way I'd turned it into, it was 15 for me, and I'd sell it for 40, $50. I'd make a little bit, but it was a way to get him some money, and he'd do it. But then he got old and stopped wanting to do that. So I stopped doing that because the ROI on the investment of the
Yeah.
time for a $50 tent isn't really worth the setup process and everything.
Yeah.
And you need to do that. You're gonna get those sales. If you set that tent up, it's gonna sell way, way better, and you reduce the risk of any kind of return on it either. So
Yeah.
definitely
Well,
well worth it.
Totally.
my kid's a scout. When Amy told us about this sale, what'd you say it smelled like?
It smells like Band-Aids.
But I said,
And
well,
I
at
put
least it
it
doesn't smell like
yes.
mold and BO, because many a times the leaders of the scout troop had to talk to the children about not, because they don't, they're supposed to take the tents home and set them up and dry them out, but also, teenage boys smell. So at least it didn't smell like that.
Yeah.
No doubt. I remember my what grade teacher was it? Fifth grade teacher. She come in. She had this. She was an older lady, but of course she probably wasn't as old as I thought she was. back then, because that's the way you look at it back then. But she would come in every day after recess. She would give a lecture to all the boys. It was really to two of the boys that were awful, but she would give this lecture, and I'm like, man. So I was scared. I had put that deodorant on every day. I'm like, I'm not having that woman yell at me.
I was that teacher, 6th grade. They didn't have recess,
Oh,
but
that's the age.
somebody was always complaining that somebody else stunk. About halfway through the year, 6th graders
Mhm.
really start to stink. And somebody like, this person stinks, that stinks, somebody stinks. I'm like, listen. And it was, I had to have that. It is time to shower daily and put on deodorant. I said what I said. So this is
That's
true.
good stuff.
But
Oh my gosh.
$950 for a $5 tent.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So what were your
Marmot.
finds this week then? If you didn't have any sales, what did you find?
Who, me?
Did you go
I
out,
didn't
Mo?
go. No, I just listed from
No.
my death pile. There wasn't
Yeah.
really anything going on, and my kid's in the marching band, so I was at a football game. I got too much sun on Saturday.
Oh. Yeah, I went to a few sales. There was one I bought like military surplus stuff that was still new in the package.
The right
Like
time to sell that stuff.
exactly. They were like the extreme cold wear like parka jackets
Oh yeah,
and then the trousers and
Amy finds
some other
tons of
stuff like that.
military surplus over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just
And
sold a wool army blanket, plain
oh,
Jane.
really?
Nice.
And Carhartt sold yesterday, and hiking backpack and whatever. I mean, boots, Timberland. I mean, that stuff is just flying for me right now.
Yeah. It's the season. Totally.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Yeah.
And then yeah, what else did I get? Oh, I got a DS, like a Nintendo DS, and I don't see those that often. Well, I don't really look for them, but I paid $10 for that, and there's games and a case, and
Yeah.
it
If it
works.
works, they
Like
sell fast.
it
Yeah.
was working when yeah, totally. And then what else? I got brass. Kevin, I find brass every weekend.
You know,
I'm like,
maybe you need to teach me about brass, because I get more people yelling at me about not picking up brass in my video. And I'll pick up brass from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I guess it's more of a, what is the object that we're looking at? What is it? And if it's something that I typically, think might have a desirability, but man, I'm like, you really want me to pick up that piece? And because I'm like, sometimes I'll comp it out. I'm like, that thing's worth $8. I don't get it. So what's the key? What's the trick to brass?
I think that I get the stuff that's like different,
Yeah.
or I think it's the keywords too. I use Regency Hollywood or Hollywood Regency
Mm-hmm.
or boho
Boho,
or
cottagecore, those kind of things.
MCM.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna write this
MCM.
down. Hollywood
Mm-hmm.
Regency is new to me. I know the boho and all this stuff. So
Yeah.
tell me about Hollywood Regency.
Think
It's
of
like
like
really
old, like
ornate,
Hollywood,
almost gaudy,
glam,
like
like
Baroque-ish,
the
that
30s,
Okay.
kind of.
40s, that kind of look.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Like the gilded Hollywood age, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yep.
All
So,
right. I'll have to be looking for it. And it's, I obviously pick up the MCM stuff when my MCM bin isn't full. And sometimes you find that metal MCM stuff and whatever. And I enjoy the heck out of that.
Yeah.
Boy, but some of it's hard
Me
to
too.
ship. But brass seems like, little things would be a little bit easier. But I get yelled at for not picking up brass probably as much as I get yelled at for anything that I do. Not
really?
yelled
Yeah.
at, but just like you're a dummy kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
don't want to be a dummy. So I guess
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
start
I
picking
wouldn't
it up.
pick up just anything, but if it's like you can tell if it's really nicely made,
Mm-hmm.
heavier and just it's more polished and rough versus rough. There's some cheaper things. And
Especially the metal, the Virginia metal crafters, which I'm sure you see a lot
you
of
find
too.
it, yeah.
I
It's got
pick it up.
it's got like a stamp in the brass.
That was the
Yeah,
Fox you just sold, the Fox door stopper.
and
Right?
I do find a door stopper. Yeah, that seems like
Mhm.
it'd be good. And I do find that stuff, and I've bought it in the past and sold it, and some of it is extremely low sell through rate for me, and so I kind of gave up on a lot of it unless it's something interesting. But maybe I should get back up and looking up the Virginia Metal Crafters, because I still pass some of that stuff up, and maybe the market's just a little. I mean, I've been doing it for 24 years, so it's like I go back 15 years, and it's like, well, maybe I should reevaluate some of the stuff that I didn't do or don't do now that I used to do. So
Yeah. Now,
but I
it's
don't
changing.
pay a lot either.
Yeah.
I heard I don't pay a lot for it, so
yeah. I heard it's
you're a
changing,
lowballer.
but decorating rate as the last few years has been gold accents. So brass fits in there, you know. So I think that's another reason it sells so well right now, is we're still. Now I heard that was going to change, like when if you're looking at decorating trends and stuff, but that's, gold has been in, so, you can't have gold
That's
candlesticks,
something to
but you can
be,
have brass ones,
especially. I have this theory about the, MCM and the decorate, the whole Airbnb thing over the last decade that's grown has really, I think, reinvigorated some of the markets we're talking about on eBay, because people are buying these things and they're decorating how your home, you're living in it and whatever. And so sometimes, obviously, people decorate their own homes, but when they're talking about a second or third property and they keep doing that, they decorate those things and they really enjoy it and have themes for them. I'm thinking that a lot of that stuff has really popped back up for maybe not a huge percentage, but I know my wife would absolutely love if someday we could buy a property here or there and she could decorate it and go out and tell me what to find. And I would love that, actually, being able to go out and yard sale source. We were at an Airbnb down here in Lynchburg just to get away for a weekend. And it's just this little hole in the wall. And you could, everything in that place was a thrifted item, and it was unique. It was cool. They did a great job with it. And so I can only imagine they bought them from thrift stores, garage sales, or maybe they're going online and buying it. I don't know, but it was definitely intriguing to me. So you guys are well on your way. I'm gonna say right here, you're gonna be 1,000 subscriber female podcast channel by this time. I don't even. I want to accelerate it for you. There needs to be one out there. So you guys and Amy, Amy's producing content out there, which I think is interesting. But what are your goals? I'm going to interview you on your channel here, because I really am interested in the success of this. It's missing, and I don't understand why. Maybe I have a question for you. Why is it the podcast format that isn't as female oriented? Because our audience is obviously mainly men, probably because of what Dave and Carrie talk about over there on Crashcast podcast. But what is it, do you think? I know, because you're trying to build this about podcasts and female podcasts. There's not many out there. There's got to be a reason why. I think that this would be a perfect venue that is untapped. So what do you think? What do you think there's reasons behind it? Your demos here.
I think it's just, it feels like reselling is, male dominant. And of course, men are gonna, lean towards a more male, podcast. They don't want, because, they're gonna go, oh, the girls are talking about probably makeup and clothes. That's what they're probably assuming, that we're talking about clothes. And most men don't sell clothes,
Yeah.
So
You
they're
know what
just
I see?
assuming.
I see the podcast edit. Are you on TikTok, Amy?
I got kicked off TikTok.
Really? I got to hear this
know.
story.
I got banned in 3 days. It only took 3 days, Kevin.
I told her she needs to just try another account and just go back, because her short format is really good for TikTok.
Because what I see over there, obviously Instagram is, I don't know if you know, is much more of a female platform as far as the demos. And TikTok reselling, I see quite a balance. I see as many females over there on TikTok as I do males on the reselling side. So maybe that's a place to tap into that market. YouTube is obviously a male dominated platform. But having said that, it's not heavily male dominated. I mean, my reselling content is I don't think any of my channels have less than like 44% female.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's, I mean, pretty evenly split. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see. Do you guys post this on any podcasting platforms, or are
Yep.
you just
All of them.
all of
Yeah.
them? Okay, that's good
Yep.
because
It's on,
my wife,
Mhm.
she loves to jump into a car and listen as
Yeah,
opposed to watch.
Mhm.
I go through Spotify, so it trickles down to most of, everybody's
Very
platforms.
cool. Very cool.
So yeah,
So
that was something that fell off, but we got it back on, so that's back up there. Um, yeah, so we did that. We've made it look nice. And now we're just
good.
like trying to focus on growth. I know I'm gonna try and put some more like shorts out. I've done a few, but we do get. I was just looking the other day. We do get a pretty good views on shorts. Now I I've heard. I don't know if it's true anymore. That people say that shorts tank their. I know it's not true for Amy, but shorts tank their YouTube channels. And
Well, I can
I
let
don't. I
Amy
don't
talk
know how
about
that.
it. She mixes
Yeah,
content
she
over
does both.
there. I
Hmm.
would, and I was actually having a conversation with y'all before we started this thing, and this is about reselling / social media. So maybe you'll let me kind of say what I was saying before. But the world is changing as far as consumer habits, and as the population ages from kids, because kids are very used to impulse buying from social media. And I love eBay. I often criticize eBay, but I love eBay at the same time.
Hmm.
I eBay is missing the boat on this. I hear there is serious effort behind the scenes to integrate eBay into some of the social media that isn't quite there yet. Obviously, TikTok led in this, which is unfortunate because I'm on TikTok, but I'm not a huge fan.
Mhm.
But I think what you're starting to see is driving traffic in an impulse manner to some of these sites and getting people on them for the first time and used to the process is a huge, it's a game changer for some of these new platforms. And we saw it with Whatnot using social media, but I'm talking about integrated into the social media buying process. And I talked about this on the podcast, where you're watching a video and you see something sitting on a table and you literally put your finger on that item in the video. Like if
Yeah.
I've got a My Buddy doll sitting on the table, that's just ancillary in the video. It's coming soon where you could put your finger on that item and then boom, pops up every place it's for sale.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things that you're going to see in the future, because the buying habits of people are changing drastically. And I think those are the kind of things that we need to think of as resellers. So, but anyway, I interrupted your TikTok. Or wait, what was the question? I can't even remember. I was
I
going
don't
to let
know.
Amy talk about it. I don't remember either.
Oh, blending long and short form.
That's what it was.
Oh,
Gotcha.
yeah. It doesn't translate into the viewers don't translate into the long form for me.
Right. Hmm.
It definitely uh like
But
I will if
obviously
I
they
have a
can sustain together. I mean, you're doing well on both ends, so.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but some if I have a short that does, well for me, like I
Hmm.
I can get like 50, 60 subscribers. But the next time I put out a long form,
Hmm.
I will almost instantly lose a couple of subscribers.
Hmm.
But then, the video will pick up more subscribers. But I
Right.
know that I'm losing those subscribers because they subscribed to my shorts and they were like, "What is this long form stuff? I'm not here for that." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Well, I wouldn't be quite so quick to say that. And then I want to tie this to something else that I think may be relevant for you. I think when I put out long form videos on my picker channel and my flipper channel, I lose subs immediately
Mhm.
every single time. Boom, boom. Maybe sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 5, and then it goes back up.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting out short form, so I wouldn't
Mm.
necessarily subscribe the two. And I also wouldn't discount the fact that let's say you gain 50 subscribers from a good short form video that has success. If you gain 50, what I've seen from looking at other accounts and Thrifter Sifter over the years, because he built his YouTube channel on short form,
Yeah.
is I wouldn't discount the fact that 1 or 2 or 3 of those 50 become long form content consumers. And it might not be much, but what I saw with his channel is his long form just did nothing at all. But then as his short form just blew up, his long form slowly went up
Slowly.
with it. And so there is a crossover. It's just a very, very low percentage of
Right.
people.
Right.
But hey,
Yeah.
every single thing counts. It also can generate income in another way as well, and that's what I think is key. I'm putting, and I'd like to talk about shopcommons.net and Dibdit and all that stuff. But what I started to do, because I was afraid, Mo, of exactly what you said, right? I'm not going to put my channels in jeopardy by experimenting with it. So what I did was just create a short form channel. It's Garage Sale Nation.
Right.
And so what I do on that channel is I post long form videos very, very rarely, but occasionally it might be a tutorial or a message I got to put out that wouldn't be appropriate for my Flipper channel. But I do my live selling on Dibdit.com, and I put the live sales on Garage Sale Nation. And it used to get nobody over there. Nobody. But then my short form started to grow tremendously. And so my short form started to grow. And as that short form started to grow, my Dibdit live sales were getting way, way more views. And so the short form content is usually a younger audience, more passive audience, not a reseller audience necessarily. They're consuming content, flipping through stuff, and then they're intrigued by something. And now what they're intrigued by is, what, this dude's selling something live on here? And they're clicking over and they're watching the live sales. So the short form content people watching the live sales, which is great for Dibdit, because we don't want to sell to resellers necessarily on Dibdit. We'd like that to be a slightly different platform, although we do sell to a lot of resellers. So that is something I would think. And I don't do either of you do live sales?
My screen
No.
froze. I didn't hear you.
Oh.
Do either of you do live sales, whatnot, or anything?
No, not yet.
Okay. That may be something you, if you ever decide to do that, first of all, do it on Dibdit.com. I'll help you out. We'll boost your show over there. You come co-host with me. I really think that audience is good. And so I've started to put in my short form, like I just put one out today where I bought a bunch of Smurfs. And I said at the very end of it, hey, I'm looking for stuff. I actually filmed it when I was filming it. I'm like, hey, this is the perfect kind of stuff for Dibdit.com. And I put that at the end of my short form as a small ad for that over there. So, and it also doesn't tick off those hardcore old school resellers that, eBay, I hate what I hate, which is fine. I'm perfectly fine with people hating whatever they want to hate.
Exactly.
Separating the content and being able to do that has, I think, preserved what I love to do, which is who doesn't love finding a $5 item and selling it for $900? I mean, come on.
Right.
That's what we do this for. That's the treasure hunt out there. And so it preserves that and what I've always done and what I always loved. And it also allows me a foothold into kind of protecting the future, because things really, truly are changing as far as reselling goes. That it's not going to change so fast that 10 years from now we're not going to be selling one-offs on eBay. We're still going to be doing that, but
Right.
it is going to be. I want to be able to pivot if needed, I guess is what I'm saying, and different forms of content, because that's what drives a lot of, I would say 20% of my sales are driven by social media. I see it all the time. I mean, first time buyers and stuff. And so, everybody rails against YouTubers and whatever for, oh, you couldn't sell whatever. But I'm telling you, people are bringing new people to the platforms for the very first time to buy something. And that's the key. Get them to make their first purchase on a platform, and they feel much more at ease and they start to buy there.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast on Sunday, and there was a commercial in the podcast. This is the first time I have ever heard one, and it was a commercial for eBay. And the person that was doing the commercial, you could tell that she was young and like hip because she was
I
talking
aired
about.
that. I
You
aired
heard
that
it?
on my. I took it and I screen recorded it and I put it on my Flipper channel. I wanted people to see what you're describing right now.
Mhm.
Oh, did it already air? Did that video?
Yes, I think it did.
Oh, well, was it the
Yeah,
girl
I
that
didn't see
said,
that yet.
Mhm.
she was like, yeah, you can take your clothes that you're not wearing
Mhm.
anymore and sell it, and you
Mhm.
can find that hip, cool stuff.
Yep.
And Kevin, this was the part that I was like, oh, okay. She said, and this is eBay. Yes, eBay. As if
Mhm.
like people were like, what?
Mhm.
eBay still exists? That was the part
Yep.
that had me giggling.
Listen,
Yeah, well,
eBay's
that's
they.
geared toward those young kids.
Well,
Yes.
she kind of had that old. I think of like the Valley Girl back when I was a kid out in,
Mhm.
just had that interesting way of speaking, right? She
Mhm.
mentioned my buddy Ken the Hustlebee in that video. That's where she bought those shoes from.
Oh,
'Cause she
okay.
said, "Thanks, Ken." If you watch it again, she says, "Thanks, Ken," and it was Ken the Hustlebee's shoes that she was buying. So
Okay.
I tell this story. I told it in the video that I'm just talking about on the Flipper channel. I think it was like my video talking about it. I talked about exactly this for like 20 minutes. Was what was it called? eBay finally did it or something like that because
Hmm.
they don't do this kind of stuff, right? It's eBay Motors. They don't do ads. And
Yeah.
they haven't
Right.
needed
Right.
to. Well, guess
Mhm.
they need to now.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
have
Mhm.
competition. Whatnot is taking a younger audience. You're starting TikTok
Mhm.
shop and the whole.
Yep.
Experiential buying is real, y'all, and you can
Mhm.
choose to ignore it if you want to. I think it's a fool's errand for some people. For some people, it's not. I mean, you're selling toilet seats. I mean, come on. Nobody's doing experiential toilet seat buying.
Hmm.
But I do think that this is something that people need to pay attention to because I was a teacher, just like Mo here. I
Hmm.
was a teacher for 21 years, and in those times, I obviously was I taught in my class, unlike some classes, but there's always times where you're social with kids and whatever, and they're on their phones, and I was just shocked, even 10 years ago, to see the buying habits of especially young girls. And I was just, the guys were all goofing off and being stupid in the back, and the girls sometimes they'd be talking about what their clothes or whatever, and they'd be buying, and it was never eBay ever.
Mhm.
And I would stop and say, what did you buy, and what did you get or whatever, because I'm interested in that stuff, and they
Hmm.
were interested to share it. And I'm like, and sometimes I literally would look up exactly what they bought on eBay. I'm like, you could have got it 30% cheaper, 30% cheaper, brand new, right? And I was like, where are we missing the boat here for eBay? eBay has they could rebrand, in my opinion, about as
Mhm.
easy as any other company. You could rebrand eBay in
Absolutely.
so many ways. And the
Yeah.
fact that that commercial came out is a big deal to me.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
speaking of, and you got to tell me to shut up because I talk all the time. So you're talking about, we were, I don't know if this is before the show or not, but the fact that you got a camera on and people are saying you're on YouTube and how hard it is, and you're like, okay, negative Nancy, we'll just focus and we're going to get this done. But look at the massive success of females in the reselling world on social media
Mhm.
Hmm.
and how they've parlayed it. They've beat the men in so many. I mean, look at Jocelyn on Knickknacks.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Mhm.
I've actually seen she's actually been there. I call them pseudo commercials, but she's been posting commercials
She
for
does it on all
Knickknacks
her
on her
videos.
own social media. But
Yeah.
but
She
different
does
than
it
we
on her
typically
videos.
think about it.
Mhm.
But
Well,
yeah,
I've said that a few times that Dipped It should do that. You guys should be doing
yes,
that.
absolutely. So obviously, I push that stuff out, and I do it in ways that
Mhm.
don't offend my typical audience.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I'll say stuff, or
Mhm.
I'll flash it on the
Yeah.
screen or whatever. But I'm
Mhm.
talking about a real, like, this is a commercial,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it's put in there,
Yep.
right? And so I'm
Yep.
thinking, Trash to Cash podcast. We're talking about sponsors. Well, why don't we be our
Mhm.
own sponsor?
Exactly.
And we
Mhm.
have somebody maybe do a contest, like you were talking about earlier. in a different way for Shop Commons, but people are talented. Make a Dibdit commercial, send it to us. If we air it, we'll send you $50 or something. I don't know, and
Yeah.
air it in the middle of these things in traditional ways, and it's like, huh. I mean, one person on social media, I mentioned this in that same exact video. Look at all the brands that are owned by social media creators, and they're beneficial. Like, this is why I like District so much is, yeah, I can own a brand over there, Shop Commons or Dibdit or whatever, but I can bring value to other people selling.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest excitement to me.
Right.
And hopefully I've brought some value to Amy here, because she's a star seller, much better than Grams and Pops over on shopcommons.net. Let's see. Number 12 seller on shopcommons.net. I have to
Mo,
say,
you need to
18
clip that.
sales.
How many? How many? 18?
I think it's, let me see. I'll look it up
Let's
here.
see.
I'll look it
I
up.
have it.
But
I have
actually, yeah, here
Shop
it is.
Commons up here. By the way, if
18
you're
sales.
unfamiliar, the District.net has marketplaces. So different people have set up different shops with different themes and what have you. Dibdit, you guys are like nostalgia,
Culture-ish, 80s,
vintage,
90s,
right,
2000s.
pop culture stuff.
Mhm.
And Commons is for your lots, right?
Yeah. It
So
was trying to bring together and that is 18 sales, by the way, Amy. You've made 18 lot sales over there on Shop Commons, and we've only been open for 2 months and a few days. So that's, I think, 2 months and 4 days.
Wow.
But it's I love the fact that, you don't have to complain about something. Everybody complains. I complain. But when you have avenues to actually affect things, it's exciting to me. And I wanted to bring together groups of people that have that can complement each other. The people that can't find anything to sell or aren't able to get out and sell, that sell in different marketplaces, that source in different ways with people that source a ton and that can source way more than they need. And it's been an incredible success. And I think, Amy, you're a perfect fit for this in some ways because of how cheap you're buying with certain things, and you can get things in bulk. But maybe you can talk about that.
No, yeah, that's exactly it. It's I can source a whole Gaylord for, $5-10 at the Goodwill auction, and then create lots. That's what I've been doing.
And still pick the things that you like to sell, that you niche down to sell, that have tremendous value as one-offs, and you can separate it. It's been a game changer for my business, I've got to tell you. And it's opened up new ways of thinking where I didn't want to do storage units. I didn't want to do buyouts. I didn't want to connect with estate sale companies. I didn't want to do those extra sourcing things because I didn't want all the other work with all the ancillary stuff. And I was at a sale the other day, and a lady had a bag full of pins. I think I kept a few because they were heavyweight pins. They were in good condition. This is the pin right here, and she had a bag full of them. I'm like, man, that's a nice pin. It's like, oh, you can have it. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, how much for the whole bag of pins? Because there was tons of them in there. And she's like, just take it. And I'm like, I'm gonna look bad on this video if I take it. But so I gave her $1 or something. And I took them, and I'm Mo, you know the value of pens and pencils in the classroom with all the kids. That I used to have them do the walk of shame. I'd put a bunch of pins in the back of the room. It's like, yeah, you can have a pin, but you have to ask for it, and you have to walk back there and get it in front of everybody. And then I give away the pins. And so I took those pins, and then I'm like, I wonder if there's somebody out there in the world that would like all of these pins super duper cheap, because there's a bunch. And I just put them out there for $8. Somebody bought them like within minutes of putting them out there. It's like, and that's not exactly a reseller marketplace. That's just more of a wholesale kind of, what do you need? What do you want? People are asking for casters for chairs and whatever.
Yes.
And so it opened up this whole new idea of reselling to me, because I would never do that on eBay. It's like, that's stupid. But it's experiential buying, which is different than eBay. So if you are a an eBay. There's a lot of people who retail or online arbitrage on eBay. They buy off of eBay and sell on eBay, and they're niche down and they have a
Oh yeah,
knowledge of a
absolutely.
particular product. But those people are searching for particular items on eBay. This site over here, people go on there and they just scroll until they find something they want, as opposed to they're looking for something they want. And so it's you have a much higher probability of selling an odd lot on here than you would on eBay because of that very same reason. So I'm just intrigued by the whole thing, and I'm so glad that I started it, and I'm overwhelmed with the success of it so far. And maybe I can get Amy to come co-host and sell a lot live with me
I
on the
know.
24th.
Let's see.
Maybe.
I have it up there. Yeah, your 24th at 12
Well, can I tell you my
p.m.
favorite part of Commons, Kevin?
Of course.
My favorite
Do I have to
part.
pay you to say that?
Maybe. Actually, my favorite part is the video. The simpleness of doing a video, and it's just it has actually changed the way I list on eBay now too, because I felt like after doing Commons, I feel like I'm overthinking stuff on eBay. So I've been able to list faster on eBay because I'm kind of like taking what I'm doing on Commons and adding it, or doing that on eBay. But just the simpleness of doing a video and maybe a couple pictures, like if that, like I mean, I feel like you probably only need one picture and the video.
I
And
haven't even posted pictures, Amy. So
really,
I'll get a lot of
With
whatever, comic
videos.
books, jeans, whatever, and I just turn the camera on. Actually, Bubba's girlfriend does it for me
yeah,
now. That's kind of her. She's kind of in charge of the common stuff now. But just I just organize it all, whatever it is, because there could be hundreds of things in a lot. And instead, I mean, how you can take pictures of hundreds of items, laying it out, and take
yeah,
multiple pictures. And so a record lot, for instance, and I got this big box, and I'll just literally, here's the camera, boom, 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 boom. I just flip, 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 post the video, no picture at all. And you got to put a good price on it because you're
yeah.
selling it to resellers, but the ease of it and the quickness of the sales. I mean, I have sold 48 of 53 things I've posted,
Oh
but I'm
wow.
putting good prices on them, right? And it's just the ease of how quick, and the profit margin is going to be, the profit margin might be okay, but obviously I could make far more if I did them individually,
Yeah,
posted them on eBay, but you're storing them sometimes for years. For some, I got records that I listed over there 2 years ago that are still
Yeah.
sitting here, right? And so it's taking the mentality of the person who wants to sell on whatnot and sell live, just sell it cheaper, get it out the door. And it's even condensing it further, because if I were to sell 100 records over there, or 50 one-offs, and get a buck or two or three a piece, it'd take me all day to post that stuff, to sell that stuff, to ship it to 30 different people. I would rather take half the money and post a 30-second video and ship it to one person.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
I mean, and some people don't want to go live. They don't want to do live sales. So it's filling this little void for a small segment of people, both buyers and sellers, because not all buyers can do this. Nor would they want to do this, but it certainly is. I've just enjoyed the heck out of it. I don't know what else to say.
And your lots, or at least mine, or the average, I feel like they don't even last like 24 hours. Maybe
And
a little longer. I don't know.
it just depends on what it is and what price you put at it. If you put the right
Yeah.
price point, there are sellers on here who sell multiple lots every day as soon as they list them. And then there are some sellers who have 15 lots and they've sold absolutely nothing. They're probably not the right seller, because they're still thinking in an eBay mindset of, I'm trying to eke out every dollar from whatever. And it's really about volume and in changing your sourcing techniques and enabling what you do best on eBay to shine through and pass the other stuff to people. There's people buying things that I never thought would sell, things that I almost took off the site because I was embarrassed for them to be up there, right? Somebody posts, a lot of 40 Beanie Babies, and I'm like, oh boy, I can only see the video somebody's going to put out about Commons with these Beanie Babies
Yeah,
over there.
yeah.
But they'll put prices on them like, hey, $20, you can have all 40 of these Beanie Babies. And boom, they sell. And so I start sending messages to these people buying them, and they're like, oh, yeah, I got an antique booth. I sell them for $2 a piece. They sell quick.
Right.
I'm like, okay, so you're going to make, after it's like you'll probably profit $30, $40 on this, selling these things in your antique booth. But it's fodder for them. It's a lot of times what brings them into their antique booth, or the
Right.
kids go into their antique booth
right?
looking
Because
for this and they whatever.
that's what I've heard.
So it's just
People put stuff into the booths like that for people that have their kids with them, because they'll pick something
once
up.
you get
Yeah.
your kids in there, then you look at this like, oh, I want that
Exactly.
brass
Yep.
duck.
That's what I found this weekend too, Kevin. A brass
You
duck.
found a
It's always
brass
a duck.
Chicken. Yep, it was a set of 2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably
some of the stuff.
decorated some hunting cabin out there.
Maybe.
There you
Exactly.
Maybe.
Mhm.
I know
Yep.
I've put stuff on Commons that I'm like, typically I would have thrown away. Like, just like I'm like, who's interested in this stuff? It was like sewing patterns, uncut sewing patterns. I sold a lot of those pretty quick because I think in my mind, I'm like, who uses sewing
go.
patterns with like
Uh,
the 1970s clothing? But they sold within
There's
I
a
24
was
hours.
lady. Go ahead, Mel.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, you guys can't see it, but I had Commons up there and I was scrolling through and showing some of the stuff while you were talking, and the ephemera category caught me. I was like, oh yeah, like I will pick up piles of ephemera because there's like one thing in there that I know will sell for decent, and then so I have all this like like I gotta go through my that kind of thing. Like that's something that I would have to put on there.
And that's exactly how I use it, because I don't
Hmm.
know about certain things, and I don't
Hmm.
want to know about certain things because
Right.
the time that it takes to do the postcards is one, right?
Yeah.
I've
Hmm.
sold I was selling lots of like 20 postcards on Whatnot last year from this giant box of like 5,000 that I got for
Hmm.
50. I got 5,000 for $50, linen, unused, very good condition, but
Hmm.
not anything that's like
Right.
maybe a $5 card every once in a while, right? I'm not going through that thing. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But there are some people who don't have to look. They just flip through them and they know this one's good. This
Right.
one, that's just
Hmm.
not me.
Yeah.
So I just ended up putting a lot of 500 of them out there and sold it roughly pretty close to what I would get for, selling them off in 20s and letting the expert have it. But there's a
Right.
lady down here talking about sewing patterns down in the one in Bedford, the antique booth. She has a whole section of sewing patterns only.
Oh,
That's what
wow.
well, it's not what she sells. She sells all kinds of stuff, but there's one
Mm-hmm.
portion of her massive booths that is nothing but sewing patterns. And so
Yeah.
she's, putting whatever price on each one, and to
Hmm.
be able to get them, and you can buy this stuff on eBay and giant lots too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the benefit over here on Shop Commons is we charge 8%
Yeah.
fees, and it's
Hmm.
only on the selling price of the item. It is not on the shipping
Okay.
price. So in
Mhm.
effective fees are half
Mm.
or less of eBay. So people, and if you can get the volume up and you're paying that less in fees, it just makes sense. And I knew there had to be some advantage to being over here and progressive shipping. And there's all kinds of different advantages
Mhm.
to doing it that way. But it's been eye opening, and there's been other things that sell that are eBay type items. You talk to Grams and Pops, I'm sure, and they've found some good lots over there that they've made some really good money on eBay with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have too. I try not to buy them when they pop up. Sometimes I'll send a message to somebody because I don't want to be the one buying all the good stuff off my own site. But some of them
Mm-hmm.
I've had to get. Some of them and some of them I missed. And I'm on there all the time, and I'm like, how did I miss this lot? I'm
I
like,
know.
I could have made $400 on this lot, but those lots get posted and they are gone in minutes.
Yeah, there was
Mhm.
I think you posted it was a lot of like brat dolls,
Yep.
and I tried to get
Well,
that,
mhm.
and then Teresa from Grams and
I
Pops
was
I
gonna
think
say
scooped it up.
Graham's got that right.
But
Well, for the record, I didn't post that. That was Bubba's girlfriend, and it wasn't necessarily intended to go over there, but I'm glad it did.
Yeah. Well, I tried to scoop that up, but funny enough, I found out Teresa got it. And you were, Bubba's girlfriend posted the shoot, not the anime. What's it called?
Uh,
The manga books.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted those, and
Mhm.
somebody bought those too.
Mhm.
I wanted to
That
know if they were Japanese or English.
yeah,
And
yeah. I don't even know.
but I would have
That's
scooped them up.
sometimes they go in there and they're, you know, I try to divide when I source. I try to divide everything up and I put it over here, and I'm like, okay, because I'm handling the eBay, right? That's what
Yeah.
I focus on, and so it's difficult. I want her to have some. I don't want her to have to ask me questions all the time. Do a little research, do whatever, and put it out there for.
Yeah.
I tell her, hey, about a third of what somebody could make on eBay if we're doing it that way, because it's about volume. But
Mhm.
I posted a bunch of cards, and they were like kind of fantasy cards, like blank cards and envelopes that little greeting cards or whatever. And it was something I would have never sourced at a yard sale, but they were cheap, and there was a giant box of them. And I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to sell these off on eBay. There's just no
That's
way. I mean, you could. I looked them up, and there's like you
yeah.
could sell 5 at a time for like $9
Uh-huh.
or something like that. It's like, okay, somebody'd buy that, but how long would it take to get through that box? I'd be getting Social Security, for goodness sake. So I just grabbed the whole box for whatever I paid for it, 5 or whatever, and there were hundreds and hundreds of these things in there, and we sold it for $75.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm like,
I
okay, and
see that all
somebody's
the
So
gonna
they
make
got
time
a good
at
money
deal.
estate
on
sale. I see boxes of greeting cards like that all the time at estate sales. So
it. Hmm.
now it's in my
Yep.
head.
So it's opened up a whole new avenue for me, and I'm excited.
Mhm.
And thank y'all for letting me come on and talk about it.
Thank
You can tell
you.
I get excited about certain things. This is this is one of them, because obviously I'm making money off of this as well, which is really cool. When somebody
Mhm.
else sells something, I'm making a
Right.
little bit of money myself. It's like,
No,
yes,
Amy's been
but
talking
it
about it
it,
for
it
weeks. She's been because she's been using it. She sells something on
Mhm.
there
yeah.
all the time. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. I even put like the link in my long form video and put the name, shopcommons.net
Uh-huh.
on my video. So
Do you have your own there's the other thing I like about this. It takes a little bit from
Oh,
Whatnot and
you get
whatever.
yeah.
There's
I
the
see it
affiliate
up
link.
there. Earn
People
rewards, right?
use your code. You can get, somebody comes over and buys a lot from you or anybody else. If you have your code there, if they type it in, they get 5% off if it's $10 or more on the item, and you get $5 to spend on my Bratz
Mhm.
lot that you
Yeah.
could make some money on. And each person has their own code,
Yes,
which is
I did do
again
that.
something that eBay is desperately missing. They should reward sellers for bringing people to their site,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and they don't do it. They don't do it.
I
So
know. I know. But yeah, I did. I put the link for that referral code in my long form. Other than that, in addition to thanks for watching.
well, I appreciate that greatly. Maybe I need
Yeah.
to see Grams and Pops. They even have their own little pin over there. Maybe I should just give you a pin and give you the leg up on those guys.
What is that? What's a pin
Well,
mean?
this is something, and I've talked about it over there, but I don't. Well, in order to start this thing, I needed to have help doing it, right? So I talked to a lot of the resellers that I know, and I said, "Hey, would you come over here and list some lots for me? I need some stuff over there because I didn't want to introduce this thing and have nothing over there." And so I had
Gotcha.
them, and I gave them their own line, so that when you're looking at the home page, it's like, okay, ephemera, video games, Chernock's Connection,
Yes, yes.
right? And he's sold tons over there.
Yeah.
And now we've changed that a little bit after the first stage. The second stage was to have, and you know me, and I don't do memberships and all that stuff, but I did include a subscription over there,
Mhm.
because the time I spend on here is ridiculously. I mean, I've spent a ton of time trying to build this thing,
Uh-huh.
so that live selling, the success of the static selling on this is by far the biggest marketplace on District so far, as far as the static sales.
That's awesome.
And so I wanted to protect that and protect my time, because like on Dibdit, for instance, the people that sell over there on Dibdit, I want them to, most of those sales are live sales. They're static sales that come in,
Mhm.
a couple
Mhm.
days or something. but that's much more successful as a live selling platform because it's experiential, right? I think it will grow in static sales, especially in Q4, because people buy vintage and gifts and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel an obligation, if it's my site, to really help people make money, right? If you're coming over here and you're selling, I want to resell to Ride, for instance, whatever, I want to promote their stuff. And that's difficult to do on social media and constantly promote other people's stuff, because people get tired of that if that's all they see on your Instagram or whatever. And so I didn't want to also do that on Shop Commons, so I put a subscription. So you have to pay $4.95 a month if you want to sell live. And just because it'll allow me to control it, so I don't get somebody on there selling, one-offs of whatever. It's a lot selling site, and to be able to communicate with the people who are going to try live selling and to help them behind the scenes and on camera and promotion and whatever. And that takes a lot of time for me, and is a lot of social media capital. So I wanted to limit it. And so one way to limit it is to charge somebody for it. And so far, we're going to launch that on the 24th. We're going to launch live selling, and I'm going to go on live and sell lots of stuff for $1 auctions and see what happens. And I'm going to invite people on to sell on my live. And that's how we're going to do it to start with. So it's going to be an experiment. And a lot of this is an experiment because nobody's done this. And a lot of it I've learned, I got to be honest, from Jocelyn. She was brilliant in how she did this. She had the right audience on knickknacks. And so I've taken a lot, and I've also seen that sometimes they're competing against themselves over there. There's 6 lives at the same time on knickknacks, and I'm like, I don't really want that.
Yeah.
Because it reduces the ability of people to sell with a limited audience on a live sale. So that was some of the things we're instituting, and we may change it over time, but that's where we're at right now. It's a brave new world for resellers.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How many people do you have that do like the paid membership lives? I swear I've seen it pop up on my.
Well,
I haven't done it yet, right?
Benefit. We haven't done the lives yet, but
You
we're
have to
starting on the
subscribe.
24th.
Yeah.
But I added another benefit to it, which is if you are one of those, then at the top of the page, it says featured sellers. So if you list something, it immediately goes to the top left of the front page, and it moves to the right as other featured sellers are listing something. So there's an added benefit. So there's a lot of people who subscribe to that just simply to get their item when they list it at the very top of the home screen. So that's a minor benefit as well. There's also a seller chat for subscribers, so that I can communicate plans for, hey, we're going to do a live at this point. Or what Amy had a great idea. I'm going to ask you to share your idea here. Do you mind sharing the idea that you had for me? Because I think it's brilliant, and I think we're going to do it.
Oh, there is
the competition thing.
Yeah, there's a leaderboard where it's either, what is it? It's something else, and then there's a seller board.
There's community, meaning that takes into account the buyers and the sellers, I believe. But I think it's maybe it ranks the people who are buying the most.
Oh, okay. I wondered what that was for.
So Junkman's Treasures is apparently the #1 community buyer. And I see these names. These people are coming back and buying multiple items. They're coming back and buying and buying and buying. So
because the deals are good.
I think the community combines buyers and sellers. And you get point. If you're posting in the chats and stuff like that, that also contributes to it. And so you're actually in the. See, Amy, you are in both. You're in. No, you're not. No, I take it
probably
back.
not.
That's a different Amy. Finds for All Minds, different Amy.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I interrupted your Tanya Hansen, CCCL Finds, is the #1 person in the community. She buys media like crazy. I think they sell on Amazon. And so a lot of us eBay sellers that don't want to deal with giant boxes of CDs or whatever, but Amazon sellers, because of FBA, are buying over here like crazy. There's 2 media shop owners, brick and mortar, who buy over here and sell in their shops.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
So media was the #1 category for a long time, and it still may be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's stuff that you typically I wouldn't sell $5, $6 CDs on eBay. But for these people, if they can get them for a quarter, 50 cents, whatever, in bulk, shoot,
Yeah.
they'll find ways to make money on it.
Right,
So,
right.
anyway,
It's
I've
true.
interrupted your story about
It's
your
true.
advice 3 times. I'll shut up.
Oh,
Mute myself.
whatever. It was, you said mute myself. No, I just thought that since there's since there's a lot of people selling on there, that there's a leaderboard that is specifically for the sellers, and it gets updated. I swear it feels like every couple hours to let you know where you're ranking as far as selling. And I was telling Kevin earlier before we started that when I bartended, we would pick an alcohol of the week, and whoever sold the most of that alcohol got $50, $75 cash. And I said, well, at the end of the month, whoever is the top leader on the seller board could get some kind of compensation, whether it's a shout out of your eBay store, your YouTube channel, your gift cards, and a man plush. I mean, I think that would be great, and it would not only benefit us because we'd be selling more. It would benefit you as well,
I
Kevin.
I think the way to, and I think the idea is brilliant, except for I don't want to pay somebody $100.
Well,
But no, I'm kidding. I think you know what I'm gonna do? I've already thought about this since you said it. I'm gonna probably get like IKEA bags made that say Divdit.com on
There
one
you go.
side and
And shop
shopcommons.net on the
comments.
other.
That's a
And
really
like
good
do
idea.
it per week or something, or make just something fun like that, and put a little gift. Maybe I'll send a trash to cash to. Well, I don't know. Maybe some people probably don't want that, but I don't know what it is. But I think that's what we'll do for sure. I think that's a great idea, and maybe pick a category. Like right now, there's not many shoes listed over there. And that's a big category for wholesalers because a lot of shoe people who are experts in shoes and whatever. I think there's only 2 or 3 shoe lots listed, maybe not even that much. Chernock's, I've sold a couple. Chernock sold a bunch,
Yeah.
but people aren't listing a bunch over there, so it might be shoes. Whoever sells the most amount of shoe lots or something like that might be somewhere to start, because there's certain categories I'd like to bump up, and then there's certain categories that are just inundated that are going to be tough sellers. So I think it's definitely, speaking of the leaderboard here, sellers for the month, Chernock's Connection is number 1. Paw Pickers is 2, and Bird Dog 4 is 3. Jack's Treasures is 4. I'm 6.
You're 6.
And Beach by Repeat is 12th for the month.
12.
And Page 1 Foot Flippers over there at 16. Junkman Treasure sells a lot. It does take the right kind of seller. Darcy 1977. So it's I don't know. I get super. Uncle Steve Picker's in at 23. All right, Uncle Steve, over the years 25. Resell to Ride 27. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited that you guys let me have a platform to talk about it too. I love to talk about anything else you want to talk about too. So don't. I don't want to completely bore your audience.
We do have to talk about our female reseller of the
Yes.
week before we end the podcast. So go ahead, Mo. I'll let you take over that.
All right. Our female reseller of the week is we have picked Lavender Clothesline. And we're talking about using social media. She has I can't see 87 and a half thousand subscribers.
Yeah.
I think she posts like three videos a week. And Amy and I we were talking about this. She actually, she says YouTube, she has a pretty big shop online, eBay store. And as far as I know, she only sells on eBay. I'm not sure, but I think it's just eBay.
She has a booth, but
she has
I don't think
her and
she
her husband
sells
have a
anywhere
booth.
online.
Yeah, no, not anywhere online. She says, YouTube has beat out eBay for her. But she
a lot of
only
people
does...
say that you're a fake reseller when that happens.
I know,
all the time.
I know. Well,
check out my fake feedback score. How about
that?
Yeah.
She's been doing this for a long time. She's been killing it. I remember her commenting on my videos like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And she's been doing it a long time.
Yeah. And she She and her husband met at like Goodwill or something. Or an
Yeah,
auction, I
they
think.
did.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because
I
he
think so
sells,
too.
I mean, he's in there too. He sells just as much as her. And
Uh-huh.
she's
And unless it's changed, her husband does auction style only, unless it's changed. But I think that's
oh, I'm
interesting
not
that he
sure.
does solely auction style. So that
Oh,
way
I don't
he
know.
literally has no inventory after that week or whatever, that 3 days is done, which I
You
think
know
is
that
interesting.
that's what
Yeah, I
Jocelyn
don't
did
know.
when she was doing eBay. She
Yeah,
did auction style too.
yeah,
And obviously you
yeah.
bring an audience,
Yeah.
there's less risk,
Uh-huh.
right? You know, if
Yeah.
I'm putting an auction
Yeah.
up for something, there's
Mm-hmm.
far less risk. So it's not necessarily the right way for it's not the right way for the majority of
Most
folks
of
to
us,
do it.
yeah.
Oh
But
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Totally.
But
Totally,
I
totally.
I didn't meet my well, I'll let you finish your female seller of the week there.
oh, I was just gonna say
Unless you're
that
already done.
she's in the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area, which I'm only about 45 minutes away from there. So, and I know you hate Goodwills, but the Goodwills up there are, I go up there every once in a while. I haven't been up in a while, but I don't know why they're so much better, but they really are.
Yeah, you know, they're all regional, right? So they all have different rules and regulations and how they want to do
Well,
things, all the regional stuff. And
yeah,
around here, they totally shifted what they were doing, and it just killed
yeah,
it for me.
that is, and there's one near me. Yeah, it's yeah, Keystone Goodwills is the ones, and they're still pretty good. But yeah, so she's
They were
killing it, and her picker
for
videos
sure.
are good. If you're, you know,
Yeah,
she does clothes, she does hard goods. She has certain sense of style
Mhm.
that what she picks, but she also does like retail arbitrage. Amy and I talked about this a while ago.
Mhm. Yeah.
She'll, because the outlets are in Lancaster, she goes to it was Pottery Barn outlet, I think. And she bought. Well, I was watching a video. She bought just all the clearance sheet sets, and sold them for
Yeah.
good money.
Full
So
price.
yeah.
Yeah,
We,
I know.
you know, for whatever reason, they reduced the size of the rural Goodwills around here
mhm,
significantly. Like mine got cut in half. It literally the
mhm,
size of my Goodwill here local, it was
yeah,
massive. And they would everything that came in, they would sell right there in the store. I
mhm,
shouldn't say everything, but the great majority of it. And then all of the rural Goodwills, right, they just shrunk in size by half a lot of times. You know, obviously there's cost to having space and
yeah,
whatever. So my guess is they made the decision, hey, we're going to reduce the size of these rural ones, and they're basically pickup spots at this point to get the inventory, and then they get redistributed to the massive ones in the cities,
I guess, yeah.
and or their online outlets and all the other
Mhm,
different stuff. Which fine, you know, that's their prerogative. I don't hate
mhm.
Goodwill. It's just I'm just sad. I'm just
Yeah, yeah.
sad that
Mhm,
my Goodwills aren't like South Carolina and Pennsylvania and different
mhm.
places. And the folks that come on and I watch the videos on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, and like, don't forget to use your coupon or I go on this day. I'm like, there's none of that here. There's no coupon. There's
Yeah.
no senior day. There's no nothing. It's
Delaware
you
has
pay full
senior day.
price or
They
you
don't have
don't buy it ever.
Yeah, they don't have coupons or anything like that, but the Pennsylvania ones do, which I'm close to, so that's nice. Yeah.
And it used to be. I mean, I remember speaking of they met at the Goodwill. My
Mhm.
first, no, it wasn't my first date, but it was in the first 3 or 4 with my wife, and she used to work down here in this little town. I used to live way away, but this is where she's from. So I went there and I picked her up and whatever. I'm like, hey, you want to go to Goodwill real quick? She's like, what? What's this dude doing? I was like, okay. So we go to
What kind of
Goodwill.
date is this?
And yeah, exactly. And I go in there and I found for 39 cents, 59 cents, I think it was. It was a watch game, a Nintendo watch game, the little old ones,
Oh
you know, I don't
yeah,
know if you remember
I
those
had
that
one
had
when I was a
Donkey Kong
kid.
or whatever, tiny little
Hmm.
credit card style.
Yep, I
And
had
I
one.
bought that and I'm like, this is gonna pay for our dinner. She must have probably thought, what is this idiot doing? But and it did. It would, you know, that was enough money to pay
Yeah.
for dinner that night. And
Hmm.
so that's when I figured I had to introduce her to the fact that I was a crazy reseller at some point. So this would be a good one to do it on early date, so we didn't have to waste time for the next whatever year. Um,
That's funny.
but that's it, you know, that stuff's, you know, few and far between at this point. So
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh my, Kevin's
Right.
the guy that's like, oh, do you want to go on a date? And afterwards, can I look through your attic?
Let me tell you, that's very true. When I'm at Airbnbs, I was at an Airbnb and I open up the knife drawer and it's full of Cutco. I'm like,
Oh
oh
my
my
God.
gosh. I'm like,
Oh,
how, like, first of all, how has somebody not stolen all this Cutco
for
already?
real.
I'm like,
True.
that's
Absolutely.
crazy.
Hmm.
Crazy. I didn't steal
Wow.
it. Just
Yeah,
But
just
yeah.
for the
that's
record.
That's
where'd they get
funny
it?
though.
Probably from a
Yeah.
relative who was like,
Yard
oh, I
sale,
need
something.
stuff, or a
Yeah.
yard sale or something. That's where they probably got
Hmm.
it. And they have no idea. They're just like, we need some knives in this place.
This
Right.
drawer is worth $700.
That sounds amazing.
I should have gone to Goodwill and
Wow.
replaced it. No, that would have been
Oh
that's
my
pretty funny.
gosh. Oh
Oh
my goodness.
man.
That's too
But
Wow.
everywhere I
funny.
look, TV shows that I watch. I mean, this is, obviously the Roseanne blanket,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
you watch old TV shows, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that thing is worth hundreds. I always saw
Exactly.
this. There's an 8-track player it was a Globe 8-track player in the Brady Bunch, and I found one of those
Uh-huh.
suckers, and that sold for really, really good money.
Oh,
Did you sell it to the
wow.
So
when they redid the Brady Bunch house?
no,
I
well,
bet
I
you they
don't
got a
know.
lot of
I don't
they
know,
got stuff
maybe.
off of that when they redid that on
Oh, without a
whatever
doubt.
channel.
Without a
They
doubt. Have
bought
you ever
they
sold some
found
to a
stuff on.
studio?
I haven't, Amy.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
sold two things to
Hmm.
studio. One of them I know definitively where it went. It went to the Wonder Years, like the remake of the
Oh
Wonder
yeah, I
Years.
remember
Wow.
you.
It was a set of stadium seats that were from, I don't know, the 70s, 60s, 70s, something like that. They were like
Hmm.
green vinyl. They smelled like
Hmm.
mildew. I know they went there. And then I sold like this like almost like a Mad Men looking liquor cabinet, not a cabinet, but like one of those like metal holders you can put all the different scotches and gins in.
Hmm.
I sold that too. I paid $1 and I sold it for like 60, but they paid like a ginormous amount in shipping because they wanted it FedExed overnight, that kind of
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
But those are the only two pieces that I know of for
Yeah,
sure.
I've sold a few
What
over
have
the
you?
years, and I just can't remember what they are at the time. But I used to, and using those popular trends at Halloween. I remember this must have been a decade ago, but well, maybe not. I don't know how long Mad Men's been out, but since you mentioned that, the little briefcase that they'd carry in there, the slimline hard case briefcase, and people would use them at Halloween. They'd have
Yeah.
Mad Men costumes and
Oh
whatever,
yeah.
and
Hmm.
Sopranos stuff you'd see on there, and people would use them for Halloween. And so that's when I kind of learned to find items that are a little odd and put Halloween
Hmm.
costume and put whatever in that
Yeah.
title.
Good
Yeah.
keywords. Yeah.
And if you can get away with it, some of
Hmm.
them they wouldn't let you get away with it, but
Yeah.
that's always this time of year always a good little bolo to look out for that kind of stuff that could work for X costume.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Definitely works from time to time.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, Kevin, we know that you have a busy day ahead of you,
Yes.
and we don't want to keep you, but we greatly
Thank you
appreciate you
so
coming on.
much for
And
coming.
make sure you
Yep.
Well,
follow all of his socials. Oh, I do want to know one thing,
All
Kevin.
the
How many
links
sure.
will be in.
animals? Oh, yeah, all the links will be below. I want to know how many animals you have currently.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't want to bring down this. When is this podcast going to air?
Friday.
Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I have a video coming out Saturday, and it's a sad video. And
Oh.
I don't want to cry on your podcast here, but we lost Sophie. We lost we
Oh.
lost Sophie, unfortunately. And so I did a video, and people follow the channel and the animals and stuff. So that'll be coming out, but and that just happened. But um, so the number is going to be different, and I just obviously
Oh.
we had 3 pups. We have 2 now. Unfortunately, Sophie was an old girl, but
Hmm.
she was ours. And when the
Yeah.
kids have that Turner was a baby when we got, and he's 11
Hmm.
now, so it's
Yeah.
like it's a little rough. But we have two other pups, Wallen and Poncho. Did I lose y'all? Are you still
Mm-mm.
there?
I'm still
Okay.
here.
And so we got 2 pups. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 cats, all rescues or showed up in the bushes or something like that.
That's a
And we
rescue.
have Reagan has a hamster, Pistachio. So we have 7 animals.
7 animals.
Wow.
That's awesome. I swear every time I click on a video, I see a new face, a new animal face. And I'm like, I have to know how many animals Kevin has.
It's like those YouTubers that decide, their YouTube channel needs a boost, so they have another kid. I'm like, I'm not having no more kids for that. That's commitment. It's like,
That's
throw
too
a
much.
hamster in there, sure, no problem. Anyway, thank you. Look, I want to wish you guys the best of luck on this.
Thank you.
There needs to be a female podcast that's not just female. It appeals to men and women, but I think it's missing in the space, and I wish you guys the best. And when this airs, and it'll be a couple videos after, we'll push it out. Ooh, it's raining. Can y'all hear the tin roof here?
It's
raining like
here
crazy
too.
right now. But I just want to wish you guys the best. You guys have always been supporters of me, the Trash to Cash podcast, and the Discord over there, and you guys are awesome. And I just wanted to, and Alicia, hello out there. Sorry you're not on this one, but we're seeing you put some more content out too. So hopefully you're doing well. And that's it. Thank y'all for having me.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
And with that,
thanks so much for watching, and check out more of our videos right here. We're flipping out.